What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is going to be kind of like an intro video going over what mining looks like in Star Citizen. As you can see, I'm going to show moon mining, well, mining on a moon, but the process for mining in this game is a little bit different than what you would kind of expect in most other games. It's a little bit more involved. Unlike mining like Eve, where you're mining a bunch of different rocks and you're just like, it's quantity. Really, you find one good rock in Star Citizen, it's going to pretty much fill up your hold. There's another mechanic too where there's inert materials, which is just that. It's just basically filler stuff that's not worth anything. And so a lot of what you're going to be doing is looking for low percentages of inert material. You're going to be fracturing these rocks and kind of cherry picking. One of the big things I love about mining in this game is if I'm going out for anything that's not quantanium, which has a time limit, I'll do a whole other server video on quant mining. But if I'm just doing like normal mining, it allows you to kind of take an evening and just kind of look for rocks and be picky. It allows you to be picky and kind of build a really good ore hole as far as value. But as you can see here, I found a rock, I scanned it, and you essentially put a laser on it, and then you increase power to it. And then every asteroid or deposit requires 2 fractures before you get to the actual extraction of the materials. And so as you can hear, this is the initial fracture I'm doing. The progress bar, the charge level on the right there, once that gets into the green optimal range, that's where we're going to want to keep it. And then we're going to keep it in that green area until that bar horizontally fills up. You don't want to overcharge the rock, which that would be putting it into the red zone. If it goes into the red zone and it fills up horizontally on the red zone, it'll explode, which can damage your ship. And just, bad things happen. But as you can see here, I brought the power down a little bit. And we're just kind of chilling now. And then what will happen here, once that bar fills all the way up, it will fracture. And then now what happens is every other piece here, which is outlined in orange, if it's outlined in like that orangish, yellowish color, that means it has to be fractured. Now all these pieces are broken up. I'm going to be looking at all these different pieces and looking at percentages and trying to see what I can, get the most value out of, because we want to try to mine or break up rocks in a way that I don't necessarily get a whole lot of inert materials. I'm not running any mods on this Prospector, mainly because just for demo purposes, but if I was being like super lazy, if I just want to go out and like spend an evening mining, I'll usually put on like 3 filter modules, which allows my extraction time is slower with those, but it allows me to filter 30% of inert materials if I had to actually put laser on a rock that had inert in it. But there's a whole lot of other configuration you can do for like passive and active modules for your mining ship. If you are getting into mining in Star Citizen, I do recommend upgrading from the stock mining head to the Lancet, which is what I'm using on this. And what the Lancet does is once you get a laser on that rock, it's going to increase the optimal range window. So now that fracture's done, the purple outline here means that we can extract. And once I scan it and I see the percentages of the materials inside is when I actually extract it. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to go after rocks that have no inert in it, because any inert materials that get into my mining hold is essentially no value, which is just a waste of space for the most part. It's a little tedious, but the thing about Star Citizen mining is it's not meant to be like this fast, like, going out there mining a bunch of rocks, filling up super quick. It's kind of it's very in-depth for the most part. And this is what I'm doing now. I'm just doing extraction stuff here, and you can see on the right there, my cargo is slowly filling up. It shows the percentages of what I've already kind of mined, and anything that I roll over that's like really high inert, I'm just ignoring, because it's just not worth kind of putting lasers on. If I kind of go through the entire asteroid and I get all the good stuff kind of out, I might fill up on just regular inert just to kind of cap it off, just so I can get as much in the hold as possible. Or in most cases, I'll just go out and find another rock and just kind of cherry pick. And the goal really for me when I'm doing a proper evening of mining would be to kind of not come back to the refinery or to the station until I've got zero inert in my entire ore hold. But for the purpose of just demonstrating how mining works and everything, I figure we'll just go out and fracture a rock and kind of show you the process. Right now I'm just scanning these other pieces that need to be fractured and just kind of looking at what is could potentially give me some good rocks that don't require mining any inert. So as you could tell, pretty much if you're paying attention, the first fracture requires a lot of power. The secondary fracture doesn't require that much because the mass is actually the entire mass of the rock after the first fracture is divided amongst all the fragments, and so it doesn't take as long to heat those rocks. And since I have the lancet on that optimal window, once I get that laser on that rock, it increases that window, so it makes it a little bit easier to do everything. So now I'm just kind of going to reposition here. Forgive me, the sun went down on this rock as I was mining it, so that's why it's so dark. We're essentially mining at night. Like this one's 100% of that tungsten, or of that one ore type, so I'm going to grab that. I'm just kind of looking around for any other pieces that are decent. That's the one big difference between like mining in space and mining on the moon. The mining on the moon has gravity. In space, whenever you fracture, the fractures kind of move away from each other. Makes it easier to work with. But on the moon, whenever you fracture, things can just kind of fracture and like lay on top of themselves. And so it can sometimes be hard to get to the stuff at the bottom when it's really good. That's why if you're doing any sort of quant mining, and doing quant mining on moons is actually really profitable. But one thing I'll cover quant in another video, but one of the biggest things is fracture everything that you possibly can, especially for quant mining. And at the very end, then do all your extraction, because that 15-minute timer is going to start the second you get that first piece of quant in that mining hold. But we don't have a time limit here because we're just doing regular ore mining, so that's why I'm kind of extracting as I go. But for the most part, everything else is pretty much gone. Like everything else that I could possibly fracture is going to have some sort of inert attached to it. So at this point, just for the purpose of the video, we're just going to go and kind of extract the rest of this stuff. But yeah, this is Star Citizen mining. So thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Look for more Star Citizen in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.